is up, Nerds Nation? Welcome to the Epic Nerds podcast with the most dynamic duo in all of podcasting. I'm Nick Venizio, and sitting across from me is the man himself, Mr. Martin Moreno.
What's up, bro?
How we doing?
Good.
Today we are recapping episode 7 of WandaVision, Breaking the Fourth Wall. But before we get started, if you nerds are watching on YouTube, please subscribe and hit that thumbs up. And if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else, check back each week as we upload new content for you guys to listen to. This will be a spoiler-heavy discussion, so if you have not yet seen WandaVision episode 7...
Get your shit and get the fuck out of my office, you understand?
Get the fuck out!
And then come back to hear our breakdown, theories, and any Easter eggs we might find. So last week we got a big dose of nostalgia as we went back to our childhood, and we got to relive the late 90s and early 2000s era of like sitcoms, and that was really fun for us. We learned that Vision is bound to the Hex, that Pietro might not be who he says he is, and Darcy learns that S.W.O.R.D. is hiding some shit about their true intentions. And also by the end, Wanda expands the Hex, engulfing the S.W.O.R.D. camp and a larger area outside of Westview.
Pretty much, yeah.
So if you guys have read my tweet about our thoughts on this episode, then you know that we think this is actually one of the weaker episodes of the series so far. And, we still thought it was good, still enjoyed it, but there are some things, I enjoyed it.
I think you enjoyed it a little more than I did.
I enjoyed it a little more than you did, but there are some things that happened that I'm a little nervous about. So let's get into this.
Also, kind of before we get into it, probably the first actual filler episode we've gotten, in a sense.
It does feel, it's funny too, man, for as what it reveals, it still feels like filler. It's weird. It's very weird.
Yo! Weird, dude. Weird!
As we open with Wanda in her bed, we notice that there's hexes all over her blanket.
Hex on
hexes. And this is going to be something that you'll notice throughout the episode, that the hexes are becoming more prominent. And then like later in the episode, we see Hayward kind of standing in front of the hex, and
awesome.
It's a great shot.
Yeah, we really get a sense of scale. Up to that point, we've almost just kind of gotten like a barrier.
Yep.
But now we kind of see the size of it, and we actually see the shape of it. Kind of
almost
looks like a giant fruit gusher. Pretty much, But yeah, it was really cool to see.
It does, yeah. It's almost like as the hex becomes bigger, like the hexes themselves become more prominent.
Right, you can kind of tell more of like the boundaries of where it is, right?
Right,
like
exactly.
Cutting the cut corners and shit like that.
Right, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And we also noticed that there's something off inside the hex as Tommy and Billy's video game controllers start glitching and they start moving backwards in time. So we get like, more modern controllers, almost like an Xbox controller. And that goes back to like Atari controller. And we go all the way back to them playing cards.
Yeah, it kind of like goes back to like the primitive.
Yes.
The dawn of man.
The dawn of man.
Yeah.
And it's almost like really hammering home this as the hex has really expanded. Wanda is really losing like her grip on like controlling it, like at least the environment part of it.
Yeah.
Because as we
controlling that reality.
As we move forward a little bit, we learn that she might not be in control of everybody else.
Pretty much.
So, and you also notice that Wanda's wearing darker clothes this episode, which is like, very like, at one point it gets to like back to like red, but it's muted. But like for the most part, she's in a lot of blue, which is referred to, I guess, as like depression.
Yeah, kind of like your blue Sundays.
Yes,
you're in a funk, your rainy blue Sunday. So yeah, definitely noticed that. And also just her like demeanor, the way she was carrying herself, and like in her, like again, like the whole notion of being like in this funk on like a Sunday afternoon. You're in a robe, you're in your pajamas, you don't change, you're just like in bed all day and this like kind of like down mood. And like she was pretty much oozing that throughout the entire episode. Right.
And I think it also too, it kind of catches us up with, because how we said that each sitcom that this show has kind of parodied, the characters also play like how they do in those sitcoms. So it's like, now we're in a very modern setting, and I feel like it's more of a reality, in terms of like what she's portraying, and we'll get into the sitcom influence here a little bit, but yeah, so the opening credits, I know you were a little like on them because like they feel, but I did find out that they were parodying a show called Happy Endings, which is produced by the Russo brothers. That's kind of where how they say Wanda in different settings. That's kind of how the Happy Endings opening credits are like. But the song though is very much like The Office.
It's exactly The
Office. That like as soon as I heard it, it was like a Leo moment. I was like, it's like The Office.
I think everyone who heard that pretty much was like, holy shit, that's straight up Office.
Straight up The Office.
I just felt like regardless of like what it was trying to parody or what it was like taking its influence from, I feel like every single opening we've had so far has been really creative and really fun. Yeah. And yeah, they've all had their own sort of influences. Like we were talking about the 80s episode. That was like straight up Full House.
Right.
But it was really like, it was fun the way it was done with the painting, with the flashback to like Little Vision and stuff like that. So I felt like they were all really fun and creative in their own way. And this to me just felt like I did. It wasn't like any oomph.
Wasn't any oomph to it, yeah.
Like I just watched and I was like, okay, like.
Well, that's the thing. It's like it's nice that you're paying homage to it, but like I would have preferred them doing like a legit like Office. Like if they're doing the Office music, give me the Office opening too.
Right, like maybe shots of Westview going back and then like zooming in on Vision and Wanda and all the different characters. Yeah, because that's one of the things that we've kind of been looking forward to in a way about the episodes. It's like, oh, I'm looking forward to the intro. I'm looking forward because it's become a thing and they're fun. So this was just like, I just felt it was like a little underwhelming, and I understand what it was trying to like pay its homage to, but I just felt like it felt a little flat and just like there was just underwhelming.
It was kind of the starting point of being a very underwhelming episode.
For me at least. I found, like I said, I thought this episode kind of sucked. And I found it to be the beginning of the overall underwhelmingness.
But like we were saying though, so like this episode really parodies like The Office, Parks and Rec, Modern Family, a lot of the talking to the camera. There's a lot of Jim Halpert faces going on, which I absolutely love, which we'll definitely get into. But yeah, so as this episode we really get into it, we catch up with Vision, and again, like he's just waking up from the hex kind of engulfing him from the last episode. And again, like the aspect ratio, bro, just hammering home the transition from reality to the illusion.
Right. That pretty much is like the key to let you know like what's going on, like whether it's real or not. Whenever we're in that wide shot, that wide screen, that's real. That shit is going on.
Which is probably one of my favorite things the show has done.
Yeah, it's very fun. It's very creative, and I don't think much people pick it up because they do a really good job of sneaking it in there.
It's very subtle.
Yeah, the way the aspect ratio just changes is very it's done very well because you don't catch it. Well, like your eyes never really.
I was gonna say like there's one at the end of this episode that happens, and I guess because it's in a darker setting, you don't notice it.
Right.
Which is really cool. I like that they did that.
Because even when they slowly kind of readjust the aspect ratio, it's fun to see too. The way either like the other way like it opens up or the way it closes down is really fun to see. But a lot of the times you don't even notice it until you actually realize and like, okay, oh, well, we're sore now and it's widescreen, and your brain doesn't register that sort of change in the aspect ratio.
Yeah, and it's really well done how they do it. So as Vision wakes up, he sees the circus, which is the former sword camp, now completely changed. It's a bunch of clowns, bro.
Oh my god. Look at this fucking clown.
And he meets up with Darcy, who is she's
the escape artist.
The escape artist, yes. There she is. She tried for the bearded lady, but it didn't work out. Her complexion was too much.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like they could have had fun with the intro, like introducing like having Darcy in there or something like that. But whatever.
Feels like a missed opportunity.
They want to pay homage to happy endings. Whatever.
I know.
And who doesn't love a happy ending?
Who doesn't like a happy ending?
Yeah.
But so one of the things, Martin, is that obviously he meets up with Darcy, and Darcy's under this control, but eventually he wakes her up. And she's not really affected like Norm was. And this is a bit of like people are asking questions like, how come she's not as affected? And the only thing I could chalk it up to is that she's not in there nearly as long. She's not in there nearly as long, and she's near the boundary. So maybe it's like there's a certain grasp or something like that, but that's the only thing I can think of, is that she's not in there long enough to have this psychological effect that's happening to all these other people that are in Westview that have been in there since the beginning.
Right. I also think it's the fact that she knows what's going on.
Yeah.
So the fact that she's snapping at him, she's like, oh fuck, I'm in it,
Yes.
and she has a recollection of when the thing was of when she was being sucked in.
Right.
So I'm sure it was because I did think that at first. I'm like, that's a little strange that she didn't freak out the way Norm did. But like we said, she's been following WandaVision for the past week.
Yes.
Like she says.
Which I like. It's a little meta in that sense.
Yeah,
too.
It is a little meta in that sense, and it was a fun line. But yeah, that's kind of like how I see it. I don't think it's something to really complain about, because I think there is like a solid argument there that she understands what's going on, and she has a clear memory of when she got sucked into it.
Right, definitely. And we get this this nice little team up between Darcy and Vision, and Darcy kind of really gets Vision up to speed on like really everything, because Vision still has no idea what happened to him in Infinity War, and well, not Endgame, but about what happened with Wanda with Endgame, and he tells him how he's made, and what the things that he's gone through with the Avengers, and just really like everything. And it also like reminds us, one, that Endgame still only happened a few weeks ago. For as big of an event as it was, it's still very fresh in people's minds. And that Wanda's been through a whole hell of a whole lot in such a short amount of time, at least in terms of her getting blipped. She's only been affected by this for weeks in her mind.
Yeah,
you know what
pretty
I mean?
much. Yeah, she's lost Vision, came back, and Endgame happened.
Right.
You know, pretty much like everyone else. So it's very similar to like Monica's return of when she comes back and everything, like she gets caught up to speed, everything's going on, it's madness. And yeah, that's definitely how that's the same shit. So the whole notion of losing Vision, even though it's technically like 5 years later, it's still very much there. Like that grief and that pain is still like very fresh.
Yeah, for sure. I also like too how the strong man was from the dude from episode 4.
Yeah.
The guy who wouldn't get her coffee. So as we're sticking with Vision and Darcy, they're trying to head back to like the main center of Westview, and they keep getting roadblocked. And this is probably one of the best moments of the episode where Vision starts talking to the camera, like Parks and Rec style or Office style. And he also has a really good Jim Halpert face moment.
Wanda is creating these impediments to stop me returning home.
That shot killed me. It cracked me. It was a really good shot. Yeah.
You know, and then it was bugging the shit out of me. I'm like, bro, like why are we obeying the rules of the road? Like, just literally drive around these roadblocks, and Vision realizes, like, what am I doing here? And then he just takes off.
It wasn't. It got to the point where it's right about to get too repetitive.
Yes.
You know, because first we had the roadblock, then we had the kids. And It's like, all right, if we give me another beat, I'm gonna be like,
I'm gonna lose my shit.
Yeah,
I'm gonna lose it.
Yeah, Vision realizes it and he flies off.
Yes.
So it was that moment was fun, especially when he pretty much realizes like, yeah, I can just.
It's like, what am I doing here?
Yeah, I can get the fuck
Who am
out
I
of here.
talking to?
Yeah.
I'm also curious to see as this episode wraps up, like when he comes into play next episode, like what's gonna happen. You know, because obviously Vision, like he even says it to Wanda earlier in the season. He's like, you can't have your control over me like you can over everybody else.
Right. So
in terms of what plays out with Agatha, like she might not be able to control him either.
Or the kids. Which we will get into.
We'll definitely get into that. So so let's jump into this Nexus commercial.
Yes.
Which is really interesting. Kind of throws my theory out the window about them all being Infinity Stones, because this is supposed to be the Power Stone, and it's not that at all.
Yeah, because I think we're done with sitcoms.
I think we're done with. You're definitely done with sitcoms now. But this is because like each past episode has really focused on Wanda's trauma, and this is kind of the first one that almost strangely like encourages her to break free a little bit.
Right.
You know, and there's also like that hilarious like the side effects, like feeling your feelings. And,
Yeah.
Side effects include feeling your feelings, confronting your truth, seizing your destiny, and possibly more depression.
But the thing, it was like for the what was it? It was like for the reality that you want.
Yes.
Or escaping the reality that you don't. You know, it's like because the world doesn't revolve around you.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
what it
exactly.
was.
Yeah.
But are you going to get into the Nexus? Like, did you do your research?
I did some of my research.
Okay,
All right,
go
yeah.
ahead.
So looking up, Nexus actually has a few meanings in Marvel, and I got two of them that I think are pretty cool. So you have the Nexus, which is a cross-dimensional gateway which provides a pathway to any and all possible realities. This includes realities between realities. It's a mind-bending shit.
You just blew my mind.
We also have the Nexus beings, which are rare individual entities with the ability to affect probability and thus the future, thereby altering the flow of the universal time stream. Wanda herself is a Nexus being.
She's a Nexi.
She's a Nexi. Yes.
Yeah.
And
because
there's
she can alter reality.
Right. And then are the kids also considered Nexus beings too?
I do not know.
Okay.
And I believe I didn't look this up, but
Okay.
I believe that we get Nexus in Ultron. I believe that's sort of like super security.
I think so too. I think it also
Station
appears
is called Nexus,
Yes.
where Tony goes to find Jarvis.
I'm just a guy looking for a needle in the world's biggest haystack.
How do you find it?
Pretty simple. You bring a magnet.
True. So maybe that also, if we want to keep it in the theme of playing into Wanda's past trauma, that could also be a thing of it too.
Yeah, but yeah, this almost in a way kind of confirms the multiverse.
Yes.
You know, and so this could be the beginning of opening up different doorways and accessing these different realities.
Let's think, like when we talk about Agnes, I really do want to get into the whole idea of the multiverse.
Okay.
Because there's some shit in there that I think is really like leading into that. So moving out of the Nexus commercial, let's catch up with Monica. This is my first like major like moment where I'm just like, all right, what's going on here? Because you know, I don't want to say that I'm disappointed by it because we've been hyping ourselves up,
right,
thinking that's going to be somebody. So I can't really hate on the show for this. But what I will say is that if you're going to really play into this, like what the show's been doing, where you're going to have Monica tease like, oh, I have a perfect aerospace engineer for this job.
Zooming on the phone as she texts.
Zooming on the phone, she's texting, and then you say, oh, we're going to meet up with my guy. Like you
make it, I mean, they're making it like they're enunciating.
Yes, you're enunciating. You're putting emphasis on this moment.
Yes.
Then when we get there, And
Not just that, but she also tweets out, "I can't wait for you guys to meet my engineer."
The actress that plays Monica tweeted out,
Actor,
I can't.
bro.
Actor, that's right, because
So
actress is
it's
nonsensical.
Who are you?
But when you say that, it's like, okay, this has to be somebody significant. And then the whole tease of, we have a cameo as big as Luke Skywalker on The Mandalorian. Like, what could it be? You know what I mean?
Because we know Doctor Strange is coming.
Right.
We knew Pietro was coming. Paul Bettany said that it wasn't Pietro.
He also said it's not. He also said you haven't guessed who's coming on yet, so people know it's Doctor Strange. So we're like, all right, who could it be?
Right, and what you said, we have to emphasize that. Who gives a fuck about what we want?
Right.
Who gives a fuck about what we want to see or who we want to see? But
But
so we can say,
right.
like, I want to see Reed Richards. I want to see Victor Von Doom. Like, we can say all these things. This doesn't care about us. Like, we don't get what we want. That doesn't matter.
And the fact that if it's not anyone from the Fantastic Four, that doesn't lead to my disappointment.
Right.
It's when you have a storytelling, aspect of saying we're putting focus on who she's talking about.
Exactly.
Like there's moments in how they filmed it and the techniques they used to say there's some importance here. So you can't do all that and then reveal when we finally get to this point where it's just a couple army people and it's this one general who's like, oh, you knew my mother. Well, it's like, well, who are you?
Your father.
I knew your father. Yeah, like it's like, well, who are you? Like,
Exactly.
what's happening here?
No, and that's what we kind of want to emphasize. Like, who cares what we want? Who cares what we want to see? But if you're going to build it up, as if it's someone significant, and then it's just no one, then it does leave that sort of like underwhelming feeling. That sort of, and bro, I was shaking. I'm not lying. I was shaking. They were. Okay, for starters, like she's like, we're gonna go meet my guy. And as they're approaching the rendezvous point, she goes, there they are.
Right.
So I'm like, oh my God, it's more. It's more than just one guy. Who is it? Is it Reed and Sue? Is it, like Rhodey and Scott? Is it Rocket? Because Rocket's a great engineer. Like, so I started shaking, getting all up in my feelings. And then like this general comes out, and no disrespect to the general, no disrespect to that character, that actor, like no disrespect to her. But I was like John Travolta, just like just looking around. I'm like, what the fuck? And then when they bring out the vehicle, I'm like, all right, so Reed's in there,
right?
Or the person is driving. I was expecting like this, like kind of like moment where like he comes out,
and it's like, but it's like you were saying though. It's like if it's not Reed, it's like, is it Michael Douglas from Ant-Man? Is it somebody significant? You know what
someone
I mean?
that's gonna get us like jacked up.
Right.
Even if it was like Rhodey, I would have been like, cool.
Yeah. But at least it's somebody.
Yeah, it's something.
Right.
It's a familiar face, someone we know, someone who we followed on a long journey since like back to Iron Man 2. Someone like
who's eventually going to be in his own show.
Yeah, it's a very notable
so it's like,
character.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, that's not it. And then I was really expecting like a big reveal when they popped out and they're like, hey there, like a little fun exchange, like, hey there, stranger, like this bad boy smacked the hood, something.
I really expected like Krasinski just to walk out of it and was like, oh, here it comes,
and
here
then
it comes.
Nothing.
Yep.
However, nothing was really noted or made certain that was the actual aerospace engineer.
Right. So that's my thinking, is that even though this wasn't it, I'm like, all right, maybe Reed built the rover. You know what I mean? Maybe somebody important, maybe not Reed, but somebody important built that rover. So that's who she was mentioning. He put that aerospace engineer on this task. And this is what they came up with.
And the cameo, quote unquote, could maybe now possibly be just a name drop.
Could be a name drop, yeah.
To be like where the vehicle got fucked up, and it was like, oh, like no, there's no way we're gonna go back in there. We had our top scientists build this really, build like the strong like vehicle that was gonna get us in, and even that couldn't go through. And it's like, oh well, who's your top scientist? Oh, Dr. Reed Richards, blah blah blah.
Right.
So it could possibly be a name drop.
It could be that.
We could get something more in the next episode. Who knows? But we'll get a little bit more into that.
Well, that's my whole thing. So we're gonna talk about the stuff that we didn't like, but it all remains in the context of that we still have 2 episodes left,
right? And
we need to see how it all plays out before we can fully criticize it. But just focusing on just this episode and the things we were presented, this is where we're having some issues.
A little disappointment.
Little disappointment. Mm-hmm. So then we get to the point where Monica does get in the vehicle and she tries to get back into the Hex.
With a very Fantastic Four looking type of suit.
Very Fantastic Four looking type of suit. And the vehicle obviously fails. Mm-hmm. So she says, fuck it, I'm going in solo. Here we go.
Right.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks.
And she goes in and... Yeah, I know you had some issues with the CG and some of the...
It's not necessarily the CG. It's just the way it was done. Yeah. It looked very... I felt like she was just standing in front of a green screen and just walking in place.
Which she was.
Yeah, and there was no notion of like whoosh or being like her hair was like wasn't moving. She was just like going like this.
Right.
We're
right.
getting the same Captain Marvel dialogue over bullshit that we got before. So why are we doing the same thing?
It's like we get it.
Yeah, we get it. And then like she's breaking apart and she's trying and she's fighting through, and I'm just like, I just feel like it could have been done way better.
Well, I mean, because if you look at the episode previously with Vision, like literally falling apart as he's leaving the hex, like that to me felt real.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean?
Like the way he was getting like pulled back.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. There was no. That's why Madeline said there was no whoosh.
Right.
She was just there. Like nothing was kind of like ripping her back.
Right.
Her hair wasn't moving.
I know.
It just felt like she was just there.
Right.
Going like
just
this.
kind of miming out, walking
and
forward.
all this bullshit with like the stuff that we had already seen. I'm like, why aren't we getting like, if you really want to showcase her powers, show her really battling the hex. Like, show her how strong the hex really is and how she's really pushing her way through. But you know, that's what I'm saying. I didn't mind. I just thought it was just poorly done.
Well, see, that's the thing, because like I feel like in concept, I really like what they were doing. How it's like she's literally like there's multiple versions of her as she's trying to push herself through, and then it all comes together. Her powers come fully formed because you see her eyes light up, and then she finally gets through. But I just felt it could have been done better, because like the show has had such a cinematic quality to it, and that felt very like, not to knock on it, but very CW-ish, like superhero kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Right. Like when you think of something that comes to mind, so remember at the end of X2, X-Men United, when Jean is getting blasted by Scott, who's under mind control, and she's like holding it, and she's holding it, and then she turns and her eyes turn, you know,
they light up,
and like, you know, you see her like starting to like power up, and then boom, like something like that, where she's trying to pull through, and it's not going, and then we see her eyes light up, and then she like quickly pulls through. So whatever, that's how they wanted to do it. I didn't like it. I thought it looked cheap. I thought it was poorly done. And just continuing the whole notion of this underwhelming episode. Breaking that underwhelming fourth wall.
But moving on, like as she does get into the hex, and she basically makes a beeline to Wanda's house.
And Monica looking thick, bro.
I know, bro.
Oh, well, I was going to say she took off that suit looking thick, 5 C's. But what I'm saying is that going back to the Fantastic Four, Future Foundation, where they got the all-white suits.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that, and I didn't even catch that. Like the whole, like how her spacesuit looks.
Future Foundation is awesome. I believe that's Jonathan Hickman. That's the one that has Spider-Man in
the white suit as well,
in the white
right?
suit, So because Johnny doesn't die. He leaves.
Yeah.
But they think he's dead. So you know, like Spider-Man comes in and it's like all the white suit, and it's a dope ass costume. I fucking love that costume.
I feel like we're gonna get the Fantastic Four in the white suits too.
Oh my god, I would love it.
Yeah,
too.
that'd be
so
awesome.
Cool. Yeah, but yeah, back to Monica beelining towards
to Wanda's house, and she bursts in and basically tries to reason with Wanda a little bit, and Wanda's like, "Nope, get the fuck out of here."
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. I don't want to hear that bullshit.
Basically throws her out, has her like up, you know, and she's like, "Oh, something."
You're nailing me. I just picture 40-year-old virgin. You're nailing me.
I had something, I just completely lost it. But you know, she basically has her up in the air, and
we're not cutting that out. That was just so fun to see. You trying to pull it out, and you just couldn't. You were just
bro.
You stalled out so hard. You were just like. You were in that, you were battling the hex.
I was battling the hex,
and you got kicked out.
I got kicked out. No, get the fuck out of here.
Hex was like, okay, pussy, get out.
You're done. You're done. Get out of here. But she has her up in the air and then throws her down. And then boom, superhero landing.
All you do is lie.
Superhero landing. Yeah, that's really hard on your knees.
And it's awesome. Like it's cool that we see Monica's powers fully formed now. You know, I don't know who is she? Is she Photon? Is she Spectrum? Apparently, Monica has like 5 different names in the comics.
I believe it's Spectrum because
she has apparently she has other ones too.
I know, but given the point of view, given her the way she's seeing everything, with the
that was cool. You didn't talk about that. Her vision was pretty awesome.
So that's the
energy.
The energy, yeah. The acting the different forms of I can't pull it out. I don't remember. But yeah, I believe it's Spectrum.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. But yeah, so we see her powers kind of fully formed, and you know, she seems like she's gonna start breaking through to Wanda. She's like reasoning with her to kind of snap out of it a little bit. Fucking Agnes comes over and just kind of is like, oh, you know.
But this is what's interesting because the aspect ratio doesn't change in the scene. Because this is technically real. This is like real stuff that's going on between Agnes, Wanda, and Monica.
Right.
But the aspect ratio stays in that sitcom form.
So it's almost like Maybe it's from Wanda's perspective that she's not breaking out of it. That
Maybe.
She's resistant to hold it.
It was just something interesting because we keep talking about how they're using the aspect ratio as a form of storytelling, but in this situation, it stayed the same.
Right. Right. And then we also get the fantastic meme moment.
Oh my God,
which
it's so
good.
It
has to have been true though.
Absolutely, yeah. Where he's holding back and
I'll say,
pointing.
yeah, if you guys have seen the woman yelling at the cat, like we basically get that moment in this episode.
She's not yelling at the cat.
Well, it's
the yelling
in
at
the
cat
meme. In the meme itself, it's yelling at the cat.
Meme, yeah, which is so good.
But from the woman yelling, that's from, is that Real Housewives?
It's one of those reality
one of them, right?
shows, yeah. And then the cat, I can't remember what it is, but someone meshed the two together, and it became this viral sensation, and it's so funny.
And there's definitely a moment like this in the episode where I'm like, that could easily be it.
Well, they like to do that. They like to tap into, like, you know, I guess pop culture.
Right.
And yeah, but up to this point, you know, Wanda was already losing, like we said, like everything's been changing, everything around the house is getting glitchy, changing to the TV's changing back to different time, the cereal, the milk, everything. So she's already losing it. So I imagine that like once Monica comes in, that's like get the fuck out of here. That's like that. It was like building up and building up. Yeah.
But
she didn't hurt her.
She didn't hurt her.
Yeah, because Wanda's, you know.
Yeah.
Got a good heart.
She still has a good heart.
What did you say? About my heart.
So this is when Agnes comes over, and you know, we haven't mentioned this because I kind of wanted to wait until we got to Agnes. So now we're full steam ahead to Agnes now. So earlier in the episode, she comes over and she takes
the kids.
She takes the kids. You know, she's like, "Oh, let me give you a break, Wanda. I'll take the kids for you. They can come over to my house." And then we really get a pretty interesting scene with Agnes and the kids in her home, and it's Billy that has the psychic powers, right? Tommy's the one that's fast. Billy's the one that has the psychic powers.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure. So Billy's like, "You're really quiet."
Is it because Senor Scratchy is such a good listener?
No. It's because it's quiet. You're quiet, Agnes. On the inside.
And it's a very like
she's bitch is dead inside.
She's a little taken aback too, almost like she didn't realize that they had powers.
Right, and I would imagine that if you're Agnes, you wouldn't want this kid reading your mind,
right,
or reading you,
right.
So the fact that even if she couldn't really stop him, even if she wanted to.
Yes.
You know, because he was able still to get in there and like see what's going on, and saw that there's nothing there.
There's nothing there. So she obviously we think she has a wall up, you know, to kind of protect herself from that, you know.
Or she's a witch. Or she could be dead inside.
Right.
Yeah.
Literally dead inside.
Yeah.
So, you know, we get that scene, and then now catching up with where she brings Wanda over. And as soon as she comes in the house, it's already like creepy factors turned up to like 11.
It's so good,
and it's awesome. You know, she's
chapter 2 vibes with Beverly in the house. With
right.
With the
I didn't even think of that. Yeah,
that's really cool.
That's just pretty cool. And you know, she's sitting there. She sees like the half-eaten sandwiches, the kids program on, and then she's looking around. She notices there's like, I'm pretty sure it's a cicada that's like kind of crawling on the cicada. She notices the fucking bunny, which has been the biggest. Which
is Ralph.
Senor Scratchy.
Yeah,
Senor Scratchy's. And Wanda goes, "Where's the kids?" And she goes, "Oh, they're probably just playing in the basement." And then she goes down in the basement. This is where it's just like, all right, this is, you know, creepy factor turned up again. And as she's going deeper in the basement, this is where the aspect ratio changes.
And you don't even notice it.
And you don't even notice it because it's so dark. And she really gets into like the thick of, you know, now we'll call her Agatha, the thick of Agatha's lair. And we see there's a couple things to notice here. One, obviously the book.
The Necromancer book.
Right, exactly. And I'm assuming that this is how Doctor Strange comes in, because could this be a book that's missing from the library, the Ancient One's library?
It could, but that'd also be a little weird. Like, why the fuck did you not know? Come on, bro.
Well,
come on, Doctor Strange, get it together, man.
Well, to be fair, it's what's his name that actually takes over that's in charge of the library. It's Wong, right?
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, you can
who we know is a horrible caretaker of the books.
He can definitely come in and be like, look, I was upstate, you know, dealing with all the aftermath from Thanos.
He needed a fucking vacation, man.
Yeah, I was up there dealing with the aftermath from Thanos. I came back and
Right.
noticed my book was gone, so I was like, what the fuck? So yes, there's definitely ways you can get around it, but that is a good point. It could possibly be a book from Doctor Strange's from the Sanctum Sanctorum.
Right.
Or it just could be this very, like we said, ancient Evil Dead type of necromancer book that that's full of spells.
Right.
You know, and she's like Winifred. She needs her boo.
Come home or make thyself known.
Well, that's what it is too, because there's the theory that she's trying to raise the devil with this book, you know, and with the kids are obviously like this is Rosemary's Baby, you know what I mean? This is some of that shit.
Fuck yeah.
You know, so that's why I'm really hoping that they do still
What
kind of
did you do to the eyes?
Right. That's why I'm hoping that they really do kind of lean into that. But yes, so that we finally get our confirmation that this is Agatha Harkness, and you know, like here's the thing. Like, and this falls on us because I'm an asshole and I read too much and I have to look at every single little thing, every single little set photo. This is something that I've known and I think you've known since the start of the series, that this was always going to be the reveal. So when it happens, it's like, okay, now we finally got confirmation, but I wish I hadn't known it because I feel like some people that were going into this blind, that was a big moment for them.
Really?
So that when I get it here, I'm just like, all right, cool, we get it.
Yeah, but even that, it still could be done better.
I know.
There could have been more of like a build up to it.
I know.
I mean, this is not a good metaphor, but when you think of like or a good example, when you think of like Star Trek II Beyond Darkness, he's like, I am Khan. It's like, yeah, we all fucking knew you were Khan.
We know, bro.
We all, every single person knew, but it was still a little cool moment. And
Right.
given Benedict Cumberbatch
is just a fantastic.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's not taken away from Kathryn Hahn either, because Kathryn Hahn has stolen, I think, every scene she's been in this series, and now that it's finally revealed that she is Agatha Harkness, I hope like the next couple episodes she goes all out.
Because I feel like Kathryn Hahn has been the sort of like, I don't know how to say it. It's like kind of like untapped potential.
Well, I feel like a lot of the series has kind of kept her waiting in the wings for her moment, and I feel like now that she's finally revealed, like now we're gonna get her like full blast.
Right, and that's what I want, because I feel like you said it, like every single time she's on screen, she steals the screen. She's played so well into all these different sorts of decades and sitcoms. So now I want her like full blast, really going crazy, and just give me all the Kathryn Hahn. Give me all the Kathryn Hahn flavor, because the little bit we get, it's just like, it's not enough. I'm like, I want more and I want more. And now we're going to get her in all her glory, all crazy, witchy madness, so to speak. So give me it. I'm looking forward to that.
100%. The other thing that I noticed in her lair on like the pillars, there's demon heads.
The devil!
But here's the interesting thing too, and I wanted to ask you what you think about this. So when we go into her lair, it goes back to reality, right? Because of the aspect ratio, so we know this is real. I wonder if, because there's different paths to go down, it seems like there's different like tunnels. So I wonder if that's almost like some sort of sentry point in each tunnel is like a gateway to a new like dimension or reality or something like that.
Possibly, kind of like the Sanctum Sanctorum,
right?
Where that opens up different doorways and shit to different spots. And this could be something that was ancient, that was there for a long time, that was all of a sudden woken up when
fucking Jersey, man.
Yeah, but it's like, think of think of Justice League. When Superman died, all these people wanted to come, all these villains, all these new threats popped up. Right. Now that Thanos is gone, maybe Mephisto now wants to make his entrance, and now he's starting to start brewing some shit.
Right. Well, this is my other thing here. This is my other big concern after this, because when it is revealed that Agnes is Agatha Harkness, we get this intro song.
Yeah.
It was Agatha all along, which has been played to death by everybody on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok.
So
I know she's
good.
so good.
Like
that's
her
why
expressions, the way she feeds, like the way she plays to the camera, it's so good.
And at the end, she's like, "Oh, and I killed Sparky too." I'm like, "You fucking bitch!
That bitch!
Sweet Eli Whitney's nose. It wasn't you, was it? It was Wes Mantooth. Oh, I should have known.
No, I did it.
You bitch!
But yeah, it's played to death. But here's the thing, like, for me personally, I didn't really notice it. I noticed it this today.
I know you noticed it today.
We're recording this on Monday. It's going to be coming out on Wednesday. So I didn't, but then again, I was away for the weekend.
Yeah,
so I wasn't on social media that much. But today I noticed it. But every single time I noticed it, I got sucked into it.
Right.
Because
it's so fucking catchy, bro.
It's catchy. And Angus and Kathryn Hahn, like I said, is so good.
I know.
The very first like smirk and smile from the first episode, like you're just like, oh, I love this character.
Yes.
And you just get sucked into it. You get sucked into it. And you watch it every single time. And yeah, I got to the point where I'm like, oh, fuck, again? All right.
All right, fine. But it's kind of done in the style of the Munsters, but you brought up a good point. Like, even though it's a fun thing and it's really cool, it does feel out of place in this episode. For this episode
100%.
being like more modern and being like, in a modern family kind of sense, when you have this where it feels like it's something out of like the 70s, it's like the tones kind of clash and they don't mesh very well.
Right, because it was full blown,
right,
like old school vibes.
Right.
So like you said, we're now all the way caught up. We're now like present day. So to be kind of kicked back into that was a little strange.
And so here's where my concern is, right? So the whole thing of it being Agatha all along, I'm worried because I don't want this to be a thing where it's like, well, it was Agatha who took advantage of Wanda and created the hex, because I do not like that at all. Like, I want this to be that Wanda had a mental breakdown, she created the hex, and Agatha wandered in to take advantage of it. I don't want it to be that she was behind everything. She was behind every single little thing that happened, because to me it makes Wanda a less interesting character. It makes the show a hell of a lot less interesting, a lot less complex. To just blame it on this one character and say, well, they did it all.
Right.
And to me it makes it not as good. Like, it's like cliche to have just the villain be behind everything.
There could be a possibility where it started off that way, but like we said, Wanda broke out of it, and now she's kind of piggybacking. She's kind of like going along with it. Like, look, you tried to like control me to create this reality. I'm too strong, so I snapped out of it. But the notion that she kind of kept going along with it and got herself into like a deeper hole, that could be.
We'll see, but if that's the case, I'm fine. And this is where like I'm holding my reservations about it, because like there's still 2 episodes left, and I want to see how it all plays out and how they describe it, because we do know we're going to get some sort. We still assume we're going to get some sort of backstory to the very beginning of how this all started.
Which I was expecting it to be this episode, but now it looks like it's going to. Well, that's if we get it.
If we get it, yeah.
I'm expecting now to be the following episode, because I think I saw something where apparently the next episode is going to be really long.
It's going to be 47 minutes long.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Just fuck yeah.
So like that's what I mean. So if these last 2 episodes are really long, if they're longer, then I'm cool with that, because then it's like we're almost getting 2 episodes in one.
And give us more time to really explore the previous backstory. Because, like, again, who gives a fuck? Who cares about what we want? Right. But I would love if we do something like that, where we pick up right after Endgame, right after a conversation with Clint, and we see how every little thing all plays out. Yeah. We did get the villain reveal, so to speak, which we kind of anticipated we would. Yep. But I hope that we do get some sort of backstory, fill us in a little bit towards the first half of the episode, second half of the episode, like the big reveal on who the aerospace engineer is. Hopefully, God, please. Or get the big cameo.
Or get a like whoever the big cameo is.
The big cameo, get it in, give that to us, and then get Doctor Strange towards the end. Right. Only set him up for the finale.
Well, and the other thing, too, that I'm kind of struggling with a little bit is, like, obviously at the end of this episode, we see that Agatha kind of puts her spell or hold over Wanda. Like, she, has her eyes light up purple and shit. Like...
You don't want Wanda to be under her control this whole time.
I don't, because like we know, and it's been said, that Wanda is the strongest Avenger. So the fact that she's so easily succumb by this witch, and like, I'm not familiar with Agatha. Some of the nerds who are really into comics might help me out here, but like, I don't know how strong she is. So
she's pretty strong.
I know she's
pretty
strong, but the fact that she has this massive hold over Wanda is bothering me, because it's like, all right, then that means that fucking Agatha probably could have taken out Thanos too. You know what I mean? Like, it bugs me a little bit that she feels too overpowered. That's why, like, her character being a secondary villain to Mephisto, who makes more sense because of the type of character he is, or even if it's Nightmare, like whether it's Mephisto or Nightmare, I don't care, but like, their powers make more sense to have some sort of hold over Wanda than Agatha's than what she does. Now, if they want to kind of, maybe they're merging characters together a little bit, that could be a possibility of what they're doing. But like, it's just a little weird to me that Wanda has all this power, but she's so easily succumbed to, like, a little bit of witchcraft.
It could possibly be that situation where, like, the more she grieves, the more powerful they become. Right. So they're almost kind of using her as, like, cattle, like, just beefing her up so they become stronger. But
exactly.
We'll see.
That's why I need to see how it all plays out before I can really, like...
No, because I'm with you, man. I'm a little nervous.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous too.
I really hope, they can really stick the landing. Because like we were saying before, I don't want another Dev situation. I thought that the ending to Devs fucking sucked.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have watched the Devs, which was on FX. Really fantastic sci-fi show up until the very end.
Yeah, really, really disappointing, and I really hope that's not the case here. We'll see how everything plays out. Fingers crossed.
I know. 2 episodes left.
2 episodes left. A lot of story to tell.
Yep.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
And then we'll come back and we'll either be more nervous or we'll be a little bit more reassured. Like, okay, okay, maybe this is gonna.
Right. Maybe it's gonna pan out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, before we wrap up, let's talk about the post-credit scene.
In classic Marvel fashion.
We get a nice little post-credit scene of Monica sneaking up on Agnes's house. opens up the cellar doors to kind of look down, sees like the purple glow, and then all of a sudden Quicksilver pops out of nowhere.
Reminded me a little bit of two things: Black Panther,
yes,
the purple from Black Panther,
right,
and the Justice League tendrils.
Oh, bro, don't bring that up.
Yeah.
Shh.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this makes me curious about who Quicksilver is. Some people are saying that he's Ralph. Some people are saying that he's Mephisto. Some people are saying that he's just some
random person
who has a Pietro skin. Some people are saying that he actually is the Quicksilver from the Fox universe that was brought over, and that he's actually a good guy that's going to help Monica out.
I honestly have no.
I don't have any idea either.
Clue. It could
be any one of those.
It could be some random dude that Evan Peters is playing who was just put in there, and his brain was filled with all the information.
Right.
It could be Mephisto. It could be the Evan Peters. It could be the Quicksilver from the X-Men.
Right.
I literally have no clue.
I know.
The fact that he's still around though.
Right.
With his little beanie, I thought was funny, but yeah, that's another thing that we're gonna have to kind of see how it all plays out. Who would you like it to be though? If you ideally, who would you want it to be?
It's a good question.
Because I would actually be cool with because I would honestly, I think I would be cool with anything.
I mean, in a weird way, I kind of want to be the Quicksilver from the Fox universe. I want there to be some sort of reality bending shit where it's like we can open up. Same thing like we were saying a couple episodes ago about the whole thing with DC and like different Earths. You know what I mean? And like because I honestly do believe that's how they're going to bring the X-Men in, because I think that there's too much backstory for Xavier and Magneto to just rewrite it all and have them just randomly start now, as opposed to them because like they're so ingrained in like history and like their backstories are so ingrained in what happens. I don't think you can just randomly bring them in. I feel like that this is going to open up to another dimension where a different set of X-Men are going to be established. I don't think we're going to get the Fox X-Men, but I think it's just going to be a different set of X-Men are going to be established, and that's how they're going to bring them into the MCU.
But the thing is, when you have Evan Peters, that is a Fox X-Men.
I know.
So then you're you're telling me that he's the only one who's not different?
I guess. I don't know, bro.
So I'm saying it's a tough situation.
I know it's a tough situation. Because I do want the X-Men to be recast. I want a new cast with the X-Men. Even though I love Fassbender, I love McAvoy, I love all those guys that were playing these parts. But like I am excited to see like a new group.
Bro, we're getting the Hexmen. All the people who are in there.
Stop it.
It's gonna happen. Like it's gonna happen. They're gonna do something. Oh, nah, not Hexmen. Let's call them X-Men.
And I'm gonna cringe so fucking hard.
It's gonna happen, bro. So be ready to fucking cringe.
This is the worst.
Yeah, I don't really know.
Yeah.
Whoever we get, I if they tell me it was just some random person who had shit put in his brain, I would honestly be fine.
I'd be like, then why have it be Evan Peters? You know what I mean? Why have it be? I guess.
It's really just because there's either you have that for fun, who's literally nobody. You have that for fun. It is the Quicksilver from the X-Men universe, but then you have baggage,
right?
Or it's Mephisto. So that's literally like,
is this Mephisto?
Or it's or maybe it's like it's a secret ally, or because Mephisto shapeshifts.
He does.
So
he does.
We'll see, and he could have just shapeshifted into this Evan Peters just to kind of for fun to tease the fans. So we'll see. That's like the least of my worries right now.
I know.
So we'll see how it all plays out.
That's the thing, man. Like if you guys enjoyed this episode and you're happy with what's going forward, like awesome. Keep doing you. But like there's just and it could be a case of us, building up our hype and our theories running wild as to what it could possibly be. But there are just certain things that are going on that I'm just like the show is really presenting some really complex stuff, especially with the character of Wanda. And I'm just worried now that they're going to simplify it and kind of dumb it down a little bit just to blame it on like a villain or, and have it not be as grand or as complex as I thought it could possibly be.
Marvel's biggest problems are the villains.
I know. Well, it's not, and I don't even think that Kathryn Hahn's going to be a bad villain, but it's just the fact that, like you really have the ability here, especially with the TV shows and Disney Plus, to really dive into the psyches of your characters. And I thought this is a perfect thing for Wanda, and it could still play out like that. I'm not saying it's not going to, but I'm worried that they're not going to go that route. but I still have hope. I still have hope that that's what's going on, that she had this mental breakdown, kind of very much like House of M, and that this is what's like, you know, and we're seeing it, you know, play out. But, you know, so it's a wait and see.
It is a wait and see game, and you know, hopefully they can bring it home.
I think so too. You know, I think they're going to. I still have faith.
Yeah,
I still have faith they're going to bring it home, and it's going to wrap up nicely, and we're going to be very happy come the end of it.
And we're lead straight into Doctor Strange.
Right. Oh yeah, definitely lean right into it. But all right, Nerds Nation, that does it for us. What did you guys think of episode 7? Did you like it, or were you like us and a little disappointed by it?
Bro, I think a lot of people were. This is just me.
You think a lot of people were disappointed by it?
This is me completely speculating. I haven't talked to Chris about it.
Yeah.
But again, see, Chris didn't I didn't get a WandaVision message from Chris.
I know.
So, but I just think or any of my friends that I talk to all the time in the group chat. So I just think the nerds and the fans in general were very much in our situation. We're very much in our boat where they were speculating, they were expecting something, and they didn't get it. So I don't think it's just us. I do think that a couple people were a little disappointed by this episode, and that's just me completely speculating. Right. Yeah, but we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
We'll definitely see. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. Remember to like this video, subscribe to our YouTube page, and remember you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else you can see that big, beautiful FN logo. Check back next Wednesday for our review of episode 8. Hopefully it's awesome. It's going to be a little bit longer. Maybe some crazy shit's finally going to go down. We shall see.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
But all right, guys, we will catch you on the next one. Bye.